Jo bardo danye jaso che daje jaso yebe sanan a veje san jo mo jo sa shi sa shi be ye me do zhao ma je da ne shi ye mo zang ye xin do me de be wa ye zhe ge nam da xian lan jue wo ye da ma go lo ran men da lang zang ne yang da ya. Yes, thank you. Please sit down. Mazum ji me shira bare ji ma ye mi ga nam ye mo ye so so ran de ye ji ma sha a ga de ga de a ya da ga de ba ran ga de ba so ga de bu de ye so ma ya da ga de ya da ga de ba ran ga de ba so ga de bu de ye so a di re dong da ji je shi wa da mi de ne ma che wa da de mo de je pe so so tu ji de yang de le shu. So greetings, good morning, good evening, greetings to everybody. So like before, today we will go to the we will discuss the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path by Master Gampopa. And before we delve into the subject, please remember the Mahayana Motivation, Bodhisattva Motivation, or Mahayana Motivation, whatever you call it. So the motivation is to benefit all the sentient beings, not just oneself, but all sentient beings. So with this proper motivation, we will start today's lesson. So we will not go into much we will go straight to the topic. So we were on the 10 dharmas, or 10 things to emphasize, to pay attention into, and of this we have covered 6 of them, and now we will go from the rest. Oh yeah, so last week we completed up to the point number 6, which is until one gains stability of the mind, one should practice meditation, one should emphasize on contemplation or meditation. So this is, we refer to that as the on session, right? On session and off. We talk about the on session and the off session. So today we will start from the off session practice. So what we have, all the lessons, all the experiences that we have gained during our on session, we must apply that during the off session. So today, the topic today is point number 7, which is what the lessons, the experiences that you have gained from the on session, you must apply them during the off session. So one example will be, let's say, the understanding of impermanence, right? So last week there was a question whether impermanence should be practiced during in session or off session. So I said it's you can do that during the off session, because during off session you see a lot of impermanent things, but it's not exclusive to off session. You can think about impermanence during in session, during meditation as well. So whatever, so you put up a lot of reasoning as to why things are impermanent. Life is impermanent, time is impermanent, happiness is impermanent, unhappiness is also impermanent, my suffering is also impermanent, therefore samsara is also impermanent, so on and so forth, like that. So all this understanding, the contemplation you had during your meditation, so you must apply them during your off session. So you are not meditating, you are just going around with your daily life, and then something goes awfully wrong. So there was a big problem. Of course, we are human beings, so immediately when there's a big problem, of course we cry, we become sad, or we become angry, whatever. This is reflex, so it comes automatically. There is a you cannot get rid of that immediately. But what we can do is, after the initial few moments or maybe a few minutes, then we will gain the our mind will calm down a little bit, or we try to remind ourselves what we have taught, what we have learned during our meditation. Oh, okay. So all this issue, this problem, whatever this is happening, this is also impermanent. So this will go away, and so because the problem came to me, or the problem came because it is impermanent. There was a time when there is no problem, and then there is a time there is a problem, and just like that, there will be a time where there will be no problems at all. So normally we become very emotional because when something happens to us, we feel, even intellectually we think and otherwise, but we feel deep down, we feel like this is permanent, or this problem is going to be there forever. And that's why sometimes we lose hope, and we do terrible things. So that's when, as I said, in the initial moment, you will be despaired, but then a little after that, you will be able to gain your awareness. Then ask yourself why I'm being so emotional, so depressed. All these things, they are not meant to stay forever. They are not permanent. They're impermanent things, so they will go away. And then next, what you do is there was this line from the Bodhisattva Charya Avatar by Shantideva, which is, if you can do something about it, don't worry. If you cannot do anything about it, why worry? That method is very helpful. So first you tell yourself everything will be all right because it's gonna change, because it's impermanent. And then next you tell yourself, okay, can I do something about it or not? If I can do something about it, then I should stop worrying and crying and being depressed over it. I should find a solution. If this seems like something that I cannot do anything about, because we are human beings and we have limitations. We cannot fly on our own, right? To fly, we need aeroplane. To go fast, we need to ride on a motorbike or a car. We cannot overrun a car or a train. So human beings have so many limitations, and it's important to know. It's important to realize, see the limitations we have. There's nothing to worry about that. Are you worried that you cannot fly? No, right? Because flying is done by birds, and fish can swim underwater for the whole of their life. You're not worried about that. You are a human being living on Earth, walking on Earth. So that is your limitation. So just like that, in life, you have so many limitations. It's very important that you realize, you see the limitations that you have. Once you accept your limitations, once you start accepting your limitations, there's nothing wrong about that. Once you start seeing your limitations, then you will not be depressed when things don't go the way you want it to go. So these are the you meditate on this thing, you contemplate on those things during the on session, and during off session you apply them in life. Now when during the off session, this is the most difficult one, right? I mean, on session is also difficult, but during the on session, you are in your meditation place. You can meditate in peace. There's no one to disturb you. It seems it's quite theoretical. But then when it comes to the off session, then it becomes more practical. You have to deal with people you don't like. You have to deal with people. You have to deal with situations that you don't like. You have to deal with people you don't like, and so many other things like that. So this is very difficult. So when these things comes, when this happens, then one must try to recall the experiences of the on-session meditation, and as well as now we come to lesson number 8, which is when there is a lot of obstacles. So here obstacle means so here let me read the line for you. If unconducive conditions are many, emphasize on practicing 3 folds of patience. So unconducive environment means so we all want to be live a peaceful life, don't want to be disturbed, so we want to have a smooth life, but then during meditation or off meditation, in session or off session, we face people and we face situations that we do not like, then it becomes difficult for us to cope with. So when that happens, then we have to apply the 3-fold methods of the 3 types of patience, basically. So 3 types of patience. So there are 3 types of patience, and this is where we, when things become difficult to cope with, when things are hard to deal with, then we apply patience, and there are 3 types of patience. So the one patient is called Dungyen Tanlenge. That means accepting suffering, the patience that is that accepts suffering, accepting the suffering as a path. So what happens is when you are practicing, you come into many difficulties. Maybe you have to deal with difficult situations, difficult people. Maybe you are, for example, like which is Milarepa, Master Gampopa's teacher. When he was in the caves, he has no food to eat. So there are so many difficulties, right? Physical difficulties, mental difficulties. So when these things happen, think of all this as a purification process. When you have all these negative sufferings, miseries, difficulties, complications, think of that as a purification, and accept them. All the sufferings, you accept them. This is one method. So whatever, some people say, many people say that, why do good people suffer the most, right? And why do bad people do not suffer? People who lie, people who cheat, they don't suffer. Actually, they are suffering. That is why they are cheating. If nobody cheats just without any reason. People who cheat, people who lie, they do for a reason. And so the reason they are lying, the reason people are lying, the reason people are cheating is because without cheating, they cannot succeed, they cannot survive. They are so desperate. In order to survive, they succumb to cheating, to lying, to fooling people, to killing people, and things like that. So the point is, when things go very bad for you, think of all that as a purification process and accept them. Whatever negativities you see, you accept them and use those experiences. As an ordinary being, we will not be able to tackle all the problems, right? So the problems that come into your way, you tackle them heads on. You cope with them heads on. You give your 100% to, tackle those problems. And but it may or may not be able for you to get rid of those problems 100%. So whatever remains, think of that as a purification process, and and a lesson learned, and that's how you grow. So the first one is accepting suffering as a purification process. We call it accepting suffering. The patience that accepts suffering. This is the first form of suffering. The first form of patience. There are three patience, right? We're talking about point number 8. When there's difficulties, apply the threefold patience. So the first patience is called accepting suffering as a path of, as a process of purification. The first patience. So the next one is before one thing to remember. So the patience, in English we say patience, right? In Tibetan we call it suba. So it has many connotations. One of which is to cope, and another is to tolerate, and also not minding, right? I don't mind that. So minding, not minding, being able to cope with, being able to tolerate. So all these are in line with the word patience. So in that sense, the first one is to being able to tolerate one suffering. When you are going through extreme suffering yourself, you are being through your own making, you are able to you are able to cope with that. You are able to accept that. And the next is when other people harm you. When other people say bad things about you, negative things about you, and put harms in your way. At that when these things happen, then you must be patient. So this is called, the second type of patience is called simjianla, which means not minding the harms. The patience that does not mind the harms. So when other people harm you, don't mind them. So this is called not minding the harms put by others. Not minding the harms that were put on you. So this is what we have to do, right? Because we are Dharma practitioners, we are Bodhisattva Mahayana practitioners. So therefore, what we do is we always, when somebody does negative thing to you, when somebody harms you, we're not talking about being silent and not doing anything about it, and just being, succumb and making the other people have the upper hand. So this is not the message. The message here is that what it's telling us is we must condemn the actions, but from our heart we must have no ill intention. So if somebody is doing bad things to you, if somebody is like stealing from you, somebody is trying to rob you, somebody is trying to kill you, you must defend yourself. You must fight back. You must defend yourself. That is necessary. But because the thing is, there are twofold reasons for that. One thing is when you let, as a Dharma practitioner, if you say, okay, whatever happens is my fate, and let him do whatever he wants to do, make him steal from me, make him kill me, whatever. When you do that, what happens is that other person is also accumulating negative karma, right? So when you let somebody do bad things to you, when you let somebody steal from you, when you let somebody kill you or harm you, what happens is that person is accumulating negative karma from harming you, from killing you, from lying to you. So action, the physical action must always be condemned. When somebody tries to steal from you, harm you, you must fight back. Fight back is in the sense of defense. And you must protect yourself. If somebody's trying to kill you, you must run away. You don't stand there and say, okay, just kill me. So don't do that. This is not the message. So, people often get the wrong message when we talk about Buddhism. There's some people say that being Buddhist is being a lame duck. So that is not the case. But from deep down, you must not have any ill intention, because that other person who is harming you, who is trying to take advantage of you, that person is under the influence of his or her negative intention, negative mind, right? Hatred, craving, attachment, whatever, ego. You say something and it hurts his ego, and he's now hurt and he tries to harm you. So these things happen. So therefore, physically condemn the action, but mentally, from deep down, don't have any ill intention. Don't hate that person, but fend off the actions. So therefore, the second is called the second type of patient is called not minding the harms. Okay, not minding, right? It's mind, it says. So you must not mind if somebody tries to harm you. Don't get upset. Don't get it into your head. Whatever negative thing they are doing, don't get it over your head. So if somebody's doing something bad, of course, it's out of reflex. We will, be prone to do something, but then immediately we will gain into realization. So last week we talked about awareness. So be aware all the time, and so before responding to that person, before saying something to that person, before doing something towards that person, think why you are doing it, right? Are you doing it out of hatred? He harms you, so you want to harm him. Is that the reason? Or you just want to simply stop that person from doing something bad? So think, always stop and think. And if your motivation is pure, then you can stop, you can fight back, and you can stop that person from harming you. So for defensive purposes, it's very much all right to do so. So that is known as the taking, not minding the harms. That is the second type of suffering. The second type of patience. So the third. So the third type of patience is called gaining confidence in the Dharma. So I will explain something here. Dharma here means the ultimate Dharma, which is the ultimate reality, or in other words, we are talking about emptiness here. The emptiness is the ultimate reality of all phenomena. So when we say gaining confidence in Dharma, so this is the term we use. It actually means being able to comprehend, right? Being able to comprehend the idea of emptiness. So the philosophy, the idea of emptiness differs from different schools, from the lower school to the higher school. It varies, even though they all accept the concept of emptiness, but the way they describe emptiness is a little different from here to there. But the emptiness we are talking about here is the emptiness as per the philosophy of the Madhyamika school. So in that sense, that no phenomena has an inherent existence, that all phenomena, everything is imputed. So all phenomena exist, only has a nominal existence. They are existing just because they have been imputed as such. And there is no intrinsic and substantial reality, there is no such thing as substantial reality or inherently existing phenomena. So that is called the negation. The negation of inherent existence is called emptiness. So this is the emptiness we are talking about. So this is called the emptiness here is referred to as Dharma. So Dharma has many meanings, right? Dharma, when we talk about Buddha's teaching, we say Dharma, and also we refer to Nirvana as Dharma. So Dharma has many different connotations, different meanings, different definitions. Here, when we say being able to gaining confidence in the Dharma, it means being able to comprehend the lower schools like the mind-only schools and the other Vibhashika school and the many other schools. They are not able to the interdependency. The three types of patience. Not the first patience, not accepting suffering as so accepting suffering. This is the first patience. Second one is not minding the harms. The third patience is, so these three are three three types. Oh yeah. Now we go to chapter point number 9, which is when you have a strong sense of attachment, strong sense of craving, then you have to use forceful method to back it off. So forceful method means it can be physical or it can also be mental. So there are many different ways of looking at things in order to detach yourself from them. So one thing is that we do that all the time, I think. We do that with things that we do not like. Once we start disliking something, once we develop dislike for someone or something, then immediately what we do is whenever we see that person or whenever we deal on that issue, we always see it from the negative side, right? When we don't like somebody, then whatever good things or whatever that person does, we always try to see it from, we always have a negative explanation for that. Oh, okay, he's giving money to the poor people. Oh, I think he's doing it for the name, or he's doing it for the photo shoot, right? And so like that, when you don't like somebody, when you have dislike, when you develop dislike for someone, then whatever that person does, you start seeing that as a negative, from the negative side. And when you really like that person, when you have a liking for that person, then whatever that person does, In Tibetan we say "jinze leportong," meaning whatever they do, seeing that as a seeing whatever that person does as an excellent thing, right? So when you have so this is what we have to do. When we start developing attachment, strong attachment, craving towards something or someone, then we must try to see that thing from the other side, the negative side. There's always a dark side and the light side, the dark and the So look at it from the nobody is perfect, right? In this human world, so everybody has makes mistake. When we like someone, we start to overlook the mistakes and only pick up the good things. When it's someone we do not like, then we overlook the good things and always pick up the bad things, and like that. So this is what we have to reverse. This is the mental way. So if you ask, maybe we can talk about that later in the Q&A. And another physical is you try to put a physical distance. When you are further away from something that will actually distract you, which will attract your mind, then it is much better that then craving and attachment will not come up that much. For example, if you that is why we have advertisements, right? Advertisement boards all the time. So the reason is when they pop up on your screen, on your mobile screen, on your TV, when there is advertisement all the time, and the more you see it, it sticks in your mind, and then you want to buy them, right? If it's a skin cream, or it's a hair growing oil, or it's some medicine to give you longevity or whatever, the more they show you, the more you want to buy it. If nobody shows you that, then you will not even think about those things. Same goes with when we go to a shopping mall. If you spend like 4 or 5 hours in a shopping mall, then we end up buying something. If you go to a supermarket, we end up buying something, right? If we do not go there, then we will buy only the essential things. But if we go, so anyway, the thing is, the more distraction, if we put a physical distance to things that we like, things that we are attached to, and people that we are attached to, then we can develop, we can reduce the craving, reduce the attachment. Of course, it will be difficult in the initial stage, but one example is monks. When we were very small, everybody wants to be with their parents, and we were separate. Not just me, or most of the young monks. So they are separated from their parents. In the initial stage, they cry, and they maybe for 1 day, 3 days, maybe 1 week cry. And after then, we almost forget our parents. Of course, as a kid, we grow up with our teacher who were like our parents, and who take care of feed us, and very good to us. So they become like our parents. Of course, as we grow up, then we realize how grateful we are to our parents and all that. But when we put a physical distance to people who we love and people who we have developed attachment with, then we can reduce that attachment. So that is the lesson number 9. So point number 9 is about getting rid of attachment. So in order to get rid of attachment, when the urge is too strong, we have to use forceful methods. And when we use forceful methods, and the methods are quite intensive, and so I explained just a few methods. So I mean, I give you an example. Some of the methods that we use is called seeing the whole world, seeing the whole universe as skeletons. So you start seeing at the very, you start from the, you start visualizing, imagining from your forehead. Think of a very small skeleton, right? Skeleton, or something like a rotten body is also fine. Rotten body. So depending on different, whatever your dislike is. If you like skeletons, then meditating on skeleton will not help you. So if you don't like pus, if you don't like, let's say, human waste, or so something that you dislike, so start. Usually we think with skeletons and or rotten body is also fine. Think of a small rotten body at your front, at your forehead, and then when you have a clear sort of like a picture of that rotten body, then visualize it make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and this rotten body, this skeleton, fills the whole world, and so day one, not much difference. Day two, not much difference. But after 1 week, you start seeing the whole, maybe like your house is full of skeletons. Your house is full of rotten bodies. And then gradually you can, expand it to your town and like that. And what happens is the whole universe, like you start seeing the whole universe as a big lump, a huge lump of human waste or skeletons or a rotten body like that. So what happens afterwards is this is a very harsh, very intensive training workout. Now when you do that, you start seeing everything as waste, everything as useless, everything as a skeleton. Now you have no love for anyone. You have no compassion for anyone, because you start seeing everything as rotten and skeleton and negative and all that, right? If you apply the harsh method of resolving attachment, which is point number 9. So if you work very hard on point number 9, then you have the problem of not loving enough. You don't love people. So this is when now point number 10 comes. When you try to lose attachment, because for people like us, attachment and love very difficult to differentiate, very difficult to distinguish. So when we say love somebody, we become attached to somebody. When we tell ourselves, okay, we should not attach, then we also start not loving people. So this is when bodhicitta comes in, point number 10. So due to your practice of point number 9, when you do the extensive, intensive, forceful method of purging attachment, then you lose love and compassion and all that. So in order to gain compassion, in order to gain love, then we must contemplate on bodhicitta. So we have to go back to the basic. All sentient beings have been our mother, and so therefore they have been kind to us, and so we should repay them and things like that. And then gradually you think of all sentient beings as your mother and other things like that. Then you start seeing them as someone affectionate. Then you develop affection for them. You develop love for them. You develop compassion. When you love somebody, then you can immediately have compassion for them. Because if you love somebody, there is no way you cannot be compassionate. So like that. So this is like driving. When you are driving too much on the right, you put the steering wheel to the left. If you are driving too much on the left, you put it on the right side. So the idea is to be on the middle, right? So that is the point number 10. Oh yeah. So we conclude the teaching here today. Now open for Q&A. So there's one question of how to practice on gaining confidence in the Dharma. Okay. So the first question is how. Okay. So when I say we talk about the three patients, right? The not minding the harm, accepting the suffering, and gaining confidence in the Dharma. So in this sense, when we say gaining confidence in the Dharma, we are talking about comprehending the idea of emptiness. Okay, so we're not talking about gaining confidence in Dharma, the Buddha Dharma in general. Here, Dharma means emptiness. So if your question is in regards to that, in regards to the third patience, which is gaining confidence in the Dharma. So we are not talking about Dharma in general. We are not talking about Buddha's teaching in general. We are talking about here the Dharma is a reference to emptiness. Okay, in this sense, how to gain confidence in the Dharma? Since Dharma here refers to emptiness, what we have to do is we have to study more about emptiness. Now there are all the Buddhist schools, they talk about emptiness, right? But the way different schools explain emptiness is differs from school to school. And here we are talking about the emptiness from the Madhyamika school, which that nothing exists on its own. So this is the idea. When we say emptiness here, we are talking about the emptiness of inherent existence, that all phenomena, everything is imputed, is merely imputed, designated by its name and by the conception, the thought that it is so. For the reason we are human beings, right? Let's say human being. We are human beings because we have been labeled human beings. If we have been labeled animals, then we would be animals. So it's merely a label, and we're not talking about the name take human being alone. Everything that we possess, everything is merely labeled as such and such. When you check out the label, the name human being, when you check out the conception human being, then you ask yourself what you are. Then you can, if you check out the conception of human being, the concept of human being and the label of human being, then you no longer remain a human being. So this goes with suffering. This goes with everything. That is one way of looking at it. Everything is imputed. It's merely designated. Another thing is we see everything when we look at things. We feel as everything is fundamentally, when we see a rock standing very firm on its own, just like that. But actually, the rocks are made up of many small, thousands of a million is the rock. We will say, oh, that is a rock. But can you show me which part of that is the rock? If we go into instead of pointing outside, it's better yourself and say, okay, so let's say my name is Kim. So who is Kim? And the reason I'm sleeping, the reason I'm eating, the reason I'm walking, everything, I'm doing this for Kim, right? Everything I do from the morning I wake up to until I sleep, I'm doing it for Kim. But where is Kim? Who is Kim? My hand is not Kim. My finger. Everything is not Kim. None of that is you. None of that is Kim. Not even the mind. Kim's mind is thinking. That means Kim and the mind, Kim's mind are different. So find where Kim is. If there's no Kim, then everything that we are doing. Okay, so the signal is very poor, it seems.
Very poor.
Hello.
Hello, Rinpoche La. It's poor.
Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah.
You can see you repeat about the second part is the see things. When we see things.
Oh, okay.
We see, yes.
Yeah. When we see things as if they are truly exist and they are truly out there, but they are not. We see things because we imputed them as such. It is not from their own side they are existing. We imputed them as such and such, and that's how. So I will give an example of thinking, applying this to yourself. That's much better. For example, when we think of ourselves, me. So where am I? Let's say, say my name. My name is Kim. Let's say. So where is Kim? So the hand, the finger, the heart, nothing is Kim. If we feel like Kim, me is somewhere inside. But if you look inside, it's all blood and pus and all that, and we cannot find me. If there's no me, then everything that we are doing for, usually from the morning we wake up until we sleep in the evening, everything we do is for ourselves, right? We eat for ourselves. We eat for my body. My body means Kim's body, right? And we work for my happiness, again, Kim's happiness, like that. So everything that we do is for me, but that me is nowhere to be found. So it seems pointless, everything. So in that sense, when you develop when we contemplate on the inherent and the emptiness, when we contemplate on the emptiness of inherently existing phenomena, then we can develop detachment to everything. So back to the question, Kim's question, which is how we gain confidence in the Dharma. So the Dharma here being meaning emptiness. We have to study more about emptiness. We have to learn more about emptiness. Even if you don't really like the idea of emptiness from the Madhyamika point of view, it's still fine. You can study and you can study about. So as I said, all the Buddhist schools talk about emptiness, but on different level. So whichever level sits well with you, you can contemplate. You can contemplate on that, and as gradually you can upgrade to the emptiness from the Madhyamika point of view. So this is the meaning. So this is how you develop confidence in the Dharma. So again, Dharma here means emptiness, not Dharma in general. Oh, so next question. Next question is, can you please help me understand the difference between letting go of the things I cannot solve and change, and ignoring or neglecting them? Okay, so this is the thing. Usually, it's when a difficult situation arises, when something untoward happens to you, then it's difficult to think clearly, think with a clear mind, right? And it's quite difficult to say, oh, this is something I can do about. This is something that I can do about. So I should not worry. We can talk about this right now because nothing is going wrong right now, right? But when something is really going wrong, right, then it's very difficult to do that. So what we do here is, right now we can do that, right? Why can we do that right now? Because nothing is happening right now, right? We are detached from the situation. So this means when we are actually involved in that situation, it's very difficult for us to apply them. When we are detached from those situations, then we can do about it. So that's why we have to practice even before things like this happen. So we tell ourselves always, oh, if we can do something about it, don't worry. If we cannot do anything about it, what's the point of worrying? We tell this. On top of that, another thing I would like to add is that when something bad happens, when something really bad happens, don't think of that as, what am I going to do about this? Oh my God, what shall I do? How can this happen to me? Don't think like that way. If you think this way, when you are personally involved in that situation, it will be very difficult for you to have a detached, non-biased decision. It will be difficult to make that. So instead, just speak to yourself in a third person. Let's say, so my name is Tongkhor. So instead of saying what I'm going to do, instead of saying, Tongkhor, what are you going to do about this? Tongkhor, how can you do this? Tongkhor, what do you think is the best solution in this situation? So talk to yourself in the third person. When you talk to yourself in the third person, even though, Tongkhor is my name, even though you are, you are who you are, but when you talk to yourself in the third person, there is a slight detachment. So you feel as if you are not personally involved with that situation, in a sense, and that will make you make more non-biased decision. And whenever somebody else is suffering, right? When your friends or other people are suffering, we go there, we talk to them, we console them, we can give advices and all that, right? But when something happens to us, it's very difficult. So because when something is happening to the other person, when you are not personally involved with that, we can think, we are conscious, and we can think with our intelligence, our mind works. But when we are personally involved in the situation, it's very difficult. So that's one method I suggest is always talk to when in difficult situation, talk to yourself in the third person. And when you do that, then you can say like, hey, Tongkhor, can you solve this situation? Instead of saying, oh, what am I going to do about the situation? Instead of saying that, tell yourself, hey, Tongkhor, can you solve the situation? What are you going to do about this situation? And then when you distance yourself from the person who is going through the suffering, then your head will be much lighter and you can think more clearly. Okay, so the answer to your question is try to talk to yourself in the third person, and then you will have a much clearer head, and you can distinguish, you can make the distinction between the things that I can do and I cannot do much more vividly, much more clear. Yeah, so signal is very bad. So the question is, so two questions there, okay? That is the last one. Actually, we're off the time. The first question is, how to practice consciousness is not me. I have very strong attachment at this point. If consciousness is not me, then who is suffering in samsara? Okay, very good question. So now I tell you this. If Buddha Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom, comes to you and says, okay, you can have the physical attributes, the qualities of the Buddha Manjushri. Do you want to exchange my perfect body with yours? if Buddha Manjushri comes to you and says that, we will say, yes, if you can, right? We want to exchange that with the Buddha. You want to exchange my voice? We will say yes. Then Buddha Manjushri comes to you and says, you want to exchange my perfect enlightened mind with your non-perfect, imperfect, non-enlightened mind, impure negativity. You want to exchange that? I can do that. Do you want to exchange that? We will say, yes, of course, please. Exchange my mind with yours, exchange my speech with yours, exchange my body with yours. We will say that. Yeah, if Buddha Manjushri comes to us and asks us that, or Buddha generously Avalokiteshvara or Lord Buddha or whoever, any Buddha asks that question, we will do that. But if Buddha says, I will be you and you be me, then will you do that? We were ready to exchange our negative physical qualities with the perfect body of the Buddha, our negative, our imperfect speech with that of Buddha, our mind with that of the Buddha. But us, we want to be like Manjushri. But we don't want to exchange ourselves. Manjushri. We don't Lord Buddha. But if we were asked if we can exchange all the qualities, but ourselves, we want to remain as me. I want Tongkhor to become a Buddha. I don't want to be. I want Tongkhor to be enlightened, to become a Buddha. I don't want to change myself into Manjushri, but I want to change my imperfect mind, imperfect body, and imperfect speech with that of the Buddha Manjushri. So that shows that me and my mind, me and my consciousness, me and my speech, me and my body were all separate. Yeah. If the net was true. Okay, maybe we conclude it here today. I will answer the questions tomorrow next. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I think the net was yeah.
Yes, it's very poor. I'm not hear you clearly. Yes, and understand that when the Manjushri came to me and asked me that we can exchange our impure mind, impure speech, and impure body with the Manjushri, and we agree that.
Yeah, but
yes.
If you.
I can't hear anymore.
With better qualities, right? We want to be ourselves with better quality. We don't want to be Manjushri. You can turn into me, and I will turn into you. We will be apprehensive. And one more thing is the very fact that we can think, we can contemplate my consciousness with me. But my thought, my consciousness, my so me and my things, they are always separate. So my consciousness is also an attribute of myself. So this tells us that even my consciousness is not me. I'm not sure if you get it correct.
Yes, I don't understand. I don't sure that I can understand correct or not because of the poor connection. So when we change, we can agree that when we can change our speech, mind, and body and consciousness with the Manjushri or any deities or any Buddha, but we understand that this part, body, speech, and mind consciousness are separately. Is not the same. Understand that is correct or not?
Yeah, so the network's very bad. I think we conclude here today, and because we keep losing.
Yes.
So we conclude.
I can't hear anything. Không nghe được. Có. Bên này yếu.
Today, and I will. Ye wan di nyo do da la ma san ye zho gyo ne zho wa xie jiang ma liang ba ti ye sa lang ge ba shuo chang ju sem ju zhen bo che ma ye ba na ma ye yu ye ba nyang ba la me ba yang kuan ne kuan do pe wa la shuo mi mi zi wei de jian 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 in Vietnamese. Thank you. Thank you so much. Come on. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, Rinpoche.